The question I want to ask, just, I mean, look, you've heard it all. I mean, the people of Meath are not happy. I went up to Gippsland yesterday. There's deep anger there, deep anger about this particular project, about putting pylons on historical grounds like the sites of the Tailteann Games. But I want to ask a couple of questions. Can you tell me the distance that pylons would have to be from the habitat of the Whooper Swan, which is, I think, an internationally important habitat around Meath, and indeed the golden plover, if you have that information as well, which is very important in the Blackwater Valley. The distance a pylon would have to be from a proposed wind turbine. I have been told that there's an agreement between Eirgrid and Element Power that there's a specific distance has to be between pylons and turbines. And then finally, the distance between a human person's home and a pylon. Because I understand the figures are that the distance you have to have between the Whooper Swan's habitat and a pylon is 400 metres. The distance, I'm told, and I would be grateful if you confirm this, between a pylon and a turbine and a wind turbine has to be, of the Element Power wind turbine, has to be 800 metres. And it's 50 metres from a person's home. And could you explain to me why, and I certainly regard the Whooper Swan habitat as extremely important, and I don't want Eirgrid to destroy it, but can you explain to me the logic behind a 400-metre distance between the Whooper Swan's home and the 50-metre distance between a human person's home and County Meath in the same areas? It doesn't make sense to people.
So Senator Byrne had a question about Whooper Swans and wind turbines. John, I don't know, do you have the...
Yeah, well, I think there's no set distance from Whooper Swans. My understanding is that it's about the flight paths, and that they tend to fly into transmission lines. So we do try and study them to make sure that we don't put our transmission lines where they would adversely impact on them. In relation to
400 metres in your EIS for the last planning application.
Well, that might have been driven. I can't comment on that specific thing. We'll come back to you if there's more detail on that. In relation to wind turbines, the interaction is more aeronautical in terms of the impact it has on transmission lines. So we have been engaging with that industry to try and talk about, 2.5 to 3.5 times the diameter, the radius of, so the wing length. So we're talking about not siting them closer than that. In relation to...
Can you express that in metres?
Well, if you look at if you've got a turbine with a 50-metre blade, you're probably talking about 100 to 150 metre separation. In relation to...
And yet 50 metres is the acceptable distance from a house.
No, I didn't say that. I was just getting along to the most important part there, which is we do endeavour to stay as far away from houses altogether as is possible. As said earlier, due to the ribbon development, if you draw a line through the country 100 kilometres in any particular direction, you will get closer than that. We endeavour to stay as far away as we can. And if we're...
What's the distance that you...
Well, within 50 metres, yeah. We're prepared to enter
50 metres from a human,
no,
150 from a turbine, and
there's obvious disagreement here, so I just want to hear the answer.
Sure, but that's what we endeavour to do, stay far away, and if it's within 50 metres, we enter into discussions with the landowner to try and reach an agreement.